Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. I've been hitting for the last few weeks about a new motorcycle coming we could do a build series on, and here it is. This is my all-new 2020 Aprilia RSV4 RR MISANO. Yeah, I know it's a mouthful. I've got several things planned for this motorcycle. I want to take this bike from stock and change everything on it. So on this bike, I pretty much want to change everything. I want to change the exhaust, the rear sets, the levers, the grips, the bar ends, put sliders on it, put more carbon fiber body panels on it, and just have fun with it and see what we can do. So let's get started and I'll show you what the first project is. Alright guys, here's the kit that we have for the project. It's a SC Project CRT high mount exhaust. It's the carbon fiber titanium. Man, this thing is light. That is for sure. As you can see, there's not much to it. Pipe, and obviously your can, your mounting hardware, springs, bolts, and instructions, which we don't need. This particular kit I picked up here in Austin from Motivation Accessories. They're local. They're a great bunch of guys. They ship everywhere. So if you're needing anything, I'll put their link in the description below. So be sure and hit them up. They're great guys to work with. Alright guys, so let's take a look and see what you need to get this thing off. It's pretty basic. This nut and bolt right here hold the muffler to the support bracket, and then you have a clamp down here on the exhaust, and basically once you get those off, you're pretty much done, except for the fact that this has a servo on it that we need to take off. I don't want to leave it hanging on like a lot of people do. You can see the cables running here. They run up through the frame behind the fairing here to the servo motor, which is basically right there. We'll film it as we go step by step so we can see. And to be honest, this is the first Aprilia that I've owned, so it's all going to be new for me too. So, let's get started, I guess. Alright guys, before we get started, let's go ahead and do a cold start up with the factory exhaust so we can compare once we get it finished. And I'm not for sure how this is going to sound on here, but we'll do our best. So here's our cold start up on our 2020 Aprilia RSV4 RR MISANO. Damn, that's a mouthful. Let's see how it sounds. Alright guys, real quick before we get started, let's take a look at some of the tools that you'll need to finish this project. You're going to need a 13mm wrench for the hanger on the exhaust. a 6mm and a 4mm hex socket, a 13mm socket, that's for the clamp on the exhaust, a couple extensions, a ratchet, and once you start taking the body panel off, you're going to need a little hook or something to help you pop those out. I'll show you when we get to them. It's pretty basic. I think I've got everything here, but if I miss something, we'll cover it when we get to it. The first thing we're going to need to do is take this bolt off right here and then loosen up this clamp. So let's get started with that. One thing we did forget, you need a 10mm wrench to loosen up the cables on the servo. Well, now that we have that off, we have our, by the way, this goes on the back here, so don't lose it. Now that we have our cables loose, we will go ahead and start on the fairing so we can get the cables out of the servo motor up here. Alright, now that we have the exhaust off, let's go ahead and take out these two 4mm hex head bolts to get the fairing off. These bolts also have little nylon washers on the end of them, so try not to lose those. And obviously when I say nylon washer, I mean this little thing. Okay, so now that we have that, there's some push pins on the back side of the fairing right here that we need to get out. I'll try to do my best to show it, but it might be hard to reach over there. Here's the little push pins in question. You basically will take your hook tool or screwdriver, stick it in between the head and the base, and just pop it out, and then it just pulls out. You don't have to pull this all the way out from the retainer. Well, now that we have that, we should be loose, I believe. But it looks like we missed one push pin. Don't forget, there is a hidden push pin on the back of the fairing right here. So let's pop that bad boy off. Try not to scratch anything and be easy with it. Now when you get this out, it has two tabs in the bottom that fit right here that you need to make sure you disengage that from. And we'll set this off to the side so we don't scratch it. These panels are ridiculously expensive. Alright guys, here's the servo motor, and it looks like we need to take out this, which this is actually a spacer for your fairing, so we need to take that out, and we need to take out this bolt right here. Alright guys, if y'all can see, once you get this loose, this retainer, the bolts that you took out of this hold this retainer in, which keep the servo motor cables from falling out. So once you take it off, you just pull it off. The cables slip in here, and then you just remove them. Alright guys, basically once you get the cables out, this is what you'll have. Like I said, just take your time, feed them through, and they're pretty easy to get out. It's not that big a deal. Alright, now that we have everything off, let's just go ahead and reassemble this in reverse. Now that the fairing's back on, we can go ahead and start on the exhaust. Take your pipe, don't forget your exhaust clamp. Go ahead and slide it on. And just feed your pipe on. Do it like you like it. SC gives you hardware to use, but factory hardware on these is really nice, so I'm going to go ahead and reuse it. Put our nut back on. Now I'm sure Aprilia has some factory spec, torque spec on this. If you want to be super anal and look that up, go ahead. But I'm not going to. Just be careful not to scratch your swing arm. Now that we've got the pop secure, we'll go ahead and take our carbon fiber can and put it on. Okay, once you get the can on, now comes the good part, the stickers. Okay, now before you start this, anywhere you've touched the titanium, it'll burn your fingerprints into it. So I just take a little bit of WD-40 and a shop rag, spray it down a little bit, and just go through. Make sure you wipe everything anywhere you may have touched. Alright guys, well there it is after the install. Definitely looks a lot better than that ugly, gigantic factory exhaust. So let's go ahead and fire it up and see how it sounds. Alright, so let's try a different position. We'll do it from here and see how it sounds. Well, there it is, guys. There's the completed exhaust, and it is super loud and sounds very aggressive. So if you want something a little quieter and more timid, this is definitely not the exhaust for you. Once again, huge shout out to Motivation Accessories here in Austin for hooking me up with the exhaust. Their link will be in the description below. If you have any questions about the install, please leave them below. If you liked the video, hit that like button and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.